Module 2. Library. So, when you first open Photoshop, this is the first thing you'll see. This is the library, and see where you create your new documents, open previously made documents, see the photos that were shared with you, your recent documents. You can browse through tutorials and so much more. Almost all Adobe programs have a library for you to start with. And we're just going to walk over and see what each of these panels are for and how you can get started with creating your own Photoshop document. So this big thing right here is for tutorials. It tells you how to work with different tools. And if you were ever stalking, come back here and look at the tutorials that come with the program. Make sure you're signed into your Adobe account. And you would use as if you ever stop. I'm going to hide the suggestions. Okay. After that, we have our recent files. This is where all of the previously opened images and Photoshop documents show up. So, the names would show up here. Like this was a photo, you can see the JPEG and JPEG right now. And you see, this one is a PSDC, which stands for Photoshop Document Cloud. Now, all Photoshop documents would be a PSD, but this has a C, because it's a cloud document. What that means is that the document is saved on my cloud storage, which is connected to my Adobe accounts. It may see the cloud as I can right here. But the rest of these are just normal documents that are placed on my computer. So when you're saving or exporting a document, you have the option to either save it on your computer or save it on your cloud storage. And I definitely recommend that you save it on your cloud storage, just in case something went wrong with your computer and you don't want to lose all of your hard work. Okay, so and then this is a resend. It tells you when they were opened. And again, this has a check mark because it has been fully uploaded and also available offline, so that I can access this whenever I want. Can also filter through a recent file, search for a specific one, and change the way the files are reviewed. You can choose them by square or just have them by detail. You can also change them from oldest to newest, or the other way around. So this is what this panel is. It's not that difficult. Now let's move on to the left side. So in this home, where we are right now, learn is that story that I told you about. You can go in here and learn a few things. This just happened to see what's there. Okay, so we have some simple tutorials. Get to know the app, get to know layers, selections and all that. And you get more specific tutorials below, which are really helpful. You can even search for tutorials. You can search for a certain tool, or I know how to, or you could search for how to color a shape or something specific. So this is what they'll learn. Thing is, you can go and be you all up and they will open up in the app. You just need to make sure that you're connected to the internet. Okay, and then you have your work. You have the option to see your Lightroom photos if you have Lightroom on your computer, and you're signed into that Lightroom. Your Lightroom images will show up in Photoshop. So, we mentioned earlier in another course that a lot of photographers use both Lightroom and Photoshop. That is because in Lightroom can do the basic editing, change the color of a crop things, adjust the lightness and all that, but there are some parts that you cannot fix in Lightroom. So let's say Thursday unwanted objects. Like I said, this was my image, and there's like a fly right here. I cannot really get rid of fits that easily with Lightroom, because it needs more advanced tools. So I would need to save my image, and then open it in Photoshop, and get rid of that fly in Photoshop. And then maybe I can add these elements you see right here in Photoshop as well. This is not something you can add in Lightroom, because like Jim doesn't have layers, or the capability to add separate elements on top of an image. Okay, So like your photos and any of your cloud documents, if you go in here, it will show the documents that you have saved onto your cloud. Currently, I only have one. It tells you the size and dots here if you want to rename it or delete it. Make available offline, movies or selected, this is the name, and if you're using Photoshop and iPad you can also save your projects as cloud documents, so instead of us sharing them on Google Drive coming outs, going a different browser, you can just go to the cloud place and choose that project that you save on your iPad, which makes things a lot easier. And then we have the shared with you option says where people can share cloud documents with me. So if there's a shared project, my colleague can finish his part and then share it with me here, and I can do my part right here. It's really handy and efficient. It makes things a lot easier. I don't need to again get it through an email, maybe a Dropbox. It's all in my cloud storage. And then you also have a deleted option. Your recently deleted files will show up here. They will last for maybe, if I'm not wrong, a couple of days, and then they'll be permanently deleted. So if you accidentally deleted something, would show up here. You can recover it. There are no worries for that. Okay, and then we have two other options, which are creating new. This is where you create a new document, and open. This is where you open a previously made document. So if this is your first time opening Photoshop, you wouldn't really have anything to open, so let's go ahead and create our first document. So click on Create New, and you get this window. So you have some options up here. These are the presets for different purposes. I have some in my resend because I've used this for a couple of days now. But if it's your first time, this place would be empty. So let's go in Photo. And Save is where you're here. Custom templates will show up. So when you're creating a document, you gotta ask yourself, why am I creating this document? Is it a drawing, an illustration, am I printing a poster, and business card? What is it that I'm trying to create? And then based on that, you would either choose a template from up here. Let's say I'm trying to edit a photo, and then I would choose. Let's see, it's the landscape, so I'll go by with this. Then, I have the option to change the size. With the heights, I can choose the measurements, the resolution, and all that. You can even choose the orientation you want, a vertical or horizontal. You have an option for artboards, which we'll get into later, but because it is a photo, we won't really be using artboards. Then you have an option for resolution. A resolution is about how much detail is in each small part of the image, or in each inch of the image. So if it's 300, that means there are 300 pixels in each inch, and the reason why we have the option to change that is that because if you want to maybe print this image, you would want a high resolution. If it's a large image like this, and this is like maybe under 30 pixels per inch, the whole image is going to be pixelated and low quality. So if I want to print something, or if I want to share something, I want to make sure it has right resolution. Now generally, when you're doing arts and illustrations, there's some graphic design work, you want a really high resolution. You want every shape to be sharp, everything to be clear, but which photographs, you didn't really have the option to change things, because you're importing a raw image yourself. The reason why I can choose it here is that I'm creating blanket documents, as you can see up here, and I'm going to import the image onto that. So I'm going to keep it at 72. Because again, the raw image already has its own quality. This is just a blank canvas for it to get on. But if you're going to draw, or illustrate directly onto that canvas you would want a high resolution. And then we have color modes. When you open this you have some options, but the two main ones that you will use as a beginner, RGB and CMYK. RGB stands for red, green and blue, which are the primary digital colors in all programs. And this would usually be the default, and I suggest you start with this. If you want to post this online, maybe shared with an email or something, use RGB, but if you're looking to print that image you would use CMYK. They won't be that difference to you, but it's just something for the printer to calculate and work with. But again, if you're just doing it for yourself and you're just looking to share it online, you would use RGB. We're not looking to print system going to keep it that way. And then you have to bid size. I suggest keeping it as the default, that's why imprint. And get like a A4. You see that as RGB, but a lot of times Steve Printer House will ask you to make it seem like K. And yet you have the other options, for arts illustration for a web. Do you want to design websites for mobile? If you want application stuff, and these presets are really helpful. Then you're filming a video, which is. I could mention you can edit videos here as well, but not as advanced as you can on Premiere Pro or Sony Vegas. Let's go back to where we were. And then down here we have the background content. So Photoshop is made with layers. You have like tons of layers on the side, and whatever you do is a new layer on top of the author. And when you first open the document, it's one background layer, so this is asking you what color should your background be. You open this, you have whites, black, transparent, and custom, or you can click on this and choose your own background color. I'm just going to keep it wide for now. You can even enter a hex code.
So you can easily get online, you can choose your favorite colors, and then look for a color picture, and find out the hex code image is pasted here, and it would be the exact same color, and cancel this, keep the white one. You have some advanced options, choose the color profile. Again, I suggest keeping the default, unless a client or a printer house asked for specific settings, then you would have to change things up.
Can also name your presets, so you goes in your stage process, so I'm going to name this photo, documents. Then I'm going to save it. And in which you need me again, photo. This is my presets, documents, save presets. Now this is in my save tab. Whatever I save comes up here. I can delete it, search through templates. These are templates that you can find on either here, or you can find even more on Adobe Stock, and let you know if it's free or you have to pay for it. And you can even see all the other presets. Okay, so now that we know how we can choose the right settings for our document, I'm going to go back in my saved, and then creates. And now I'm in Photoshop Workspace. You can see that the name of my document is this, like we named it. And yeah, so this is the workspace in the necklace, and we're going to see what the workspace is made of, and what each of these panels and tabs are for. I'm just going to give a general description, because dimension going through each of them and in detail is going to be really confusing. So I'll see you guys in the next. Let's go to the next model.